Hello and welcome to On Tour with Sport 24. I'm Rob Adcock and this is Sport 24's very own pocket guide to what makes a sporting city. Each episode we're going to bring you a real flavour of a city's sports and culture, find out what the locals recommend, and we'll get the inside scoop of what you should experience when you visit. It's what Sport 24 is all about. It's a sports channel that connects onboard passengers with those unmissable live sporting moments. So whether you fly at 35,000 feet or you're relaxing on an ocean cruise, you've been watching the game live. It's the only way to travel. So buckle up and sit back. This is On Tour with Sport 24.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Sport 24, we'd like to welcome you to Chicago.
Now, this city is so special, we thought that we could only do it justice by splitting this into two parts. I'm talking about Chicago. So keep an eye out for episode 2 on Chicago. We'll do that separately, release it on all the usual platforms for podcasts and also on YouTube. But for part 1, I'm finding out everything about this amazing city and what it's got to offer. I've roped in an absolute legend to speak about one very specific aspect. I'm talking about the legendary Chicago Bulls. Randy Brown has represented the Bulls as both a player and a coach. He's a 3-time NBA champion who's someone who's part of one of the most iconic sports teams ever in sport. Randy, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always excited to talk Chicago and the Bulls brand. I'm like the biggest Bulls fan, so looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
It's a real privilege and an honor to speak to you, so thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely.
I want to try and, in this chat, I really want to try and understand and get across what it's like to be involved in the Chicago Bulls, because for people that are not from Chicago that be listening to this, it's one of those things that you instantly know because there's such an iconic team and iconic brand.
Absolutely.
What is it like to be in that?
It was special for me. You know, when I visit with kids today, I don't have a pre-planned story. I tell stories for hours with no paper. All of my stories are life lessons. And I grew up a Bulls fan as a kid. You know, I tell the kids it's like a kid going into the NBA today playing with LeBron James. That was me going to play with Michael Jordan, who was my idol. I got a chance to play with my idol as a kid, you know, and I never took a day for granted. I tell a lot of kids it was my plan to play for the Bulls. I didn't have a plan B. So to put on that uniform is special. Even today, even when I'm going to work and watching the games, I still get nervous because I understand the value of wearing an NBA uniform and also understand the value of playing in front of Chicago fans. We're passionate. We understand the game. We're into the game a lot. You know, we still selling out games. We're talking 25,000 people in the United Center, which is awesome. And the Chicago fans deserve a good brand to watch and support.
Right. Come on, let's get into it. I know it must be the question. You've mentioned him already, and it must be the question you get asked about all the time. Can we talk about Michael Jordan?
Absolutely. A good friend.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about him as a person. I think everyone who listens, anyone who's got any interest in basketball, any interest in sport, he's one of those kind of mythical creatures. What's he like when he's not got a basketball in his hand?
I like the way you put that, man. He is a creature, you know, and I called him an alien. I played my first 4 years in Sacramento with the Sacramento Kings, and I became a free agent in 1995. And here was my opportunity to fulfill a childhood dream, to put on a Bulls uniform and play with my idol, Michael. First day that I became his teammate, had no idea that the guy was serious in life and serious in basketball as well. I was amazed that the guy practiced every day. I thought he was a really, really great teammate. He was very challenging. He wanted the best out of all of us. And the one thing I learned from him is that I could never match his physical abilities. I could never match the things he did on the court, but what I could resonate with Michael was when the game was over, or even when the game began. To be a professional athlete, to put in what you into practice, and whatever you put in practice, you're going to put out into the game. So it was kind of surprising to see that he practiced every day. Um, I was kind of surprised back in the 90s where I thought, pro players and star players didn't practice, but he was the total opposite, just as competitive. Sore loser, didn't want to lose at anything. And you can see that why he was the best player in the world. Fundamentally sound, paid attention to little details. And that's kind of stuff that I tried to pick up from him. Not the physical capabilities of scoring 30 points, but my mindset of being a champion was right up there with him.
Tell me what it's like to be in and around Chicago with him.
It was, I feel bad for him. He can't move around Chicago the way I can, because nobody wants to bother me. But him, moving around Chicago was iconic. The guy's a global figure. As much as I appreciated everything he did for the Bulls, his life was a little different. He couldn't roam around Michigan Avenue the way I could. He could drive
You wouldn't see him
through.
in Garrett's, is that what you're saying?
Yes, he just couldn't navigate his way around the city of Chicago like I could. So I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it. Um, you know, dinner probably wasn't the best experience for him, because he's always going to be bothered by fans and stuff like that. But the guy put himself in a position, man, that he's iconic, and he couldn't roam around Chicago the way I could. So I'm a little blessed.
There'll be basketball fans that will talk about the greatest, and they'll mention all the different names.
Yes.
For you, is
Yes.
he number one ever?
Listen, I'm a LeBron James fan. I'm marveled by what the kid is doing at 40 years old. You know, changed the game. Steph Curry changed the game, but Kobe Bryant changed the game. Shaquille O'Neal changed the game. But I'm sorry, like you said, there's thousands of players before me and after me that I'm not disrespecting, but not being able to mention right now. But Michael by far is the best player to ever play. He showed it. He was an actor. He put his talents on the court in front of thousands of people. He was sensitive to the fans on the road. Never wanted to take an opportunity to not support the Bulls brand by not playing in a basketball game. So I saw day one of why he was the best player. The guy practiced. He was a stickler on making a great pass, or boxing out, or defensive position, and all that stuff. So, and mind you, the guy's 6-0 in finals. So I'm a little biased, but he absolutely by far is the best player to ever play.
Not just Michael Jordan though. That time that you were involved in that team, you look through the roster now, and I
Yeah.
was doing this before we had a chat about it, but like, these are people, even if you're not a massive basketball fan, these, Scottie Pippen, like, Dennis Rodman, these names. This is
Yeah.
it's like an all-time great, like, just such a, like, I can't even describe it, just such an amazing time to be involved in the team, I imagine.
I came to the Bulls at the right time,
Yeah.
1995, myself and Dennis Rodman. The Bulls had just lost to Orlando in the playoffs, and Michael didn't have a good summer. And I was a free agent and signed. And day one, Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan were talking championship. We hadn't even played a game yet. And I'm like you. I go back and look at those rosters, and I had no idea that I was playing with Hall of Famers. From Michael to Scotty to Dennis Rodman to Tony Kukoc to Robert Parrish. It we I'm just absolutely blessed that the opportunity presented itself to me, and I don't go a day without thanking the late Jerry Krause and the Rydstone family for giving me that opportunity. Man, it was some years that I took for granted. We won 3 consecutive championships and wasn't able to defend the 4th one because of the strike season. So it was a time that I'm glad I was a part of, and I'm able to share with kids today.
Dennis Rodman, a character?
A character, a character in his own mind. Was just with him in Chicago a couple of weeks ago at the Bulls. You get him, and he hasn't changed not one bit. Again, if this was Michael and Scotty on this call, I think they would understand when I say no championship happens without Dennis Rodman. Um, he came to the Bulls in a special time where he was the nemesis to the Bulls playing for the Pistons, and amazing that Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause saw that this was a piece that the Bulls could use, and Michael and Scotty had to accept this guy as a teammate. I mean, you talking about a guy who basically beat up Michael and Scotty for years and became a teammate and put on a red and white uniform. And from day one, I was amazed by what this guy can do. 6'8", 225 pounds, guard his own guy, 25 rebounds a night, and away from the game, he became a totally different person, a character. And we respected what he did on and off the court for us. And I make sure to let him know that he's worthy of the recognition he get from being a Chicago Bull.
Let's talk about Chicago as a city
Okay.
itself. We've been talking about this throughout the podcast about how much of a magical city. It's just a fantastic place to be.
Mm-hmm.
For you, what makes it different to everywhere else in America? For me, just walking down by the water, walking down by the river, and just
Yes.
being with all the
Yes.
skyscrapers, and just it feels like you're somewhere so different.
The thing about it, that Lake Michigan stretches all the way to Wisconsin. I've rode my bike through Lakeshore Drive just to take in the fountain, Soldier Field right there on the water. It's, the Bean, Michigan Avenue, the Miracle Mile. So many iconic figures, man, that, it's crazy that I was in Chicago and saw a tour bus going down Michigan Avenue, and I had never taken a tour bus in Chicago. I didn't even know they exist. So I was like, oh, I bet I can be that tour guide, because I can just ride up and down the street and point out stuff. But I'd be learning as well. But so many historical places, places to visit, restaurants and stores and stuff like that. It's one of the best places in the world to visit and to live.
When you are in and around Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
is the one place that, let's say that someone rang you up now and they said, Randy, right, I'm on my way to Chicago. I've never been before. I want to go to somewhere that is the most Chicago-y place that I could go to, okay? So not necessarily, I don't necessarily need to go and see the Bean. That's great, but I will see it. I want like a little recommendation of where you think that this one place you've got to go.
If you're visiting Chicago for the first time, you have to charge your phone and get ready to record Michigan Avenue, Magnificent Mile. Historical, tourists, locals up and down Michigan Avenue, stores, restaurants. At night is lit up, not quite like Las Vegas, but historical place to visit. You don't go with a plan. You just say, hey, I'm going to visit and get to Michigan Avenue, and there's blocks and blocks and to walk, and you'll see all types of people. And most of the people you see are probably not even locals, because the locals understand that Michigan Avenue is turned into a tourist trap these days. So if a person's coming to Chicago first time, I would say you absolutely have to visit Magnificent Mile. North Michigan Avenue is a beautiful place.
One cafe, one restaurant, where's you go to?
Oh,
what's your order?
Man.
This is the thing sometimes, Randy. I'm a podcast host. I've got to put people on the spot. I've got to make sure we get proper answers.
I'm on the spot, but I'm secure and okay to say if you're going to go to Chicago, you got to visit Gibson's. Gibson's on Rush Avenue.
Okay.
Historical restaurant. I'm a steak and potato eater. So if I could go to Gibson's 7 days a week, I would probably order the same thing. But it's in a great area. It's right on Rush Avenue, Rush Street, minutes away from Michigan Avenue. Probably one of the most iconic restaurants in Chicago. I fell in love with it because the Bulls, we had our end of season dinners at Gibson's. So I made it one of my favorites. And whenever I'm in Chicago, if I can go to Gibson's, I'm happy.
Randy, you can't honestly expect to drop in a little piece of information like that and expect me just to carry on with the rest of the interview. Tell me about these end of the season parties at Gibson's. I want
Well,
to know your best piece of gossip / information. Don't hang
yes.
up on me. Don't be like this with me. I want you to tell me something.
Well, think about it. In 96, 97, and 98, championship team, end of year party, dinner with the coaches, just the players, no family. And we just reminisce about the stories throughout the season. Um, Steve Kerr telling a story about, hey, remember we were in Philadelphia and went to New Jersey. Scottie Pippen talking about, hey, remember we were in Miami, and that it was a time to decompress, because winning a championship, man, is it's so difficult. It's hard. You gotta have a little bit of luck, and you gotta have obviously some players. We had some really good players, but you gotta have a little bit of luck, and the team wins championships. So those dinners were sacred. They were special. It got a chance for us to say goodbye for the last time until the next training camp. And it hurts my soul that 1998 was, I had no idea it was going to be our last dinner. I had no idea that that was going to be the last dinner I shared with my teammates after winning a championship. It was, we didn't see it coming. We didn't understand what was about to happen with the strike season coming up. So that's why even today when I give it my old teammates, we reminisce and tell stories, and we get to relive all that stuff all over again.
You sound quite regretful about it all. It sounds like it still eats away at you.
It does. It does. It does. It eats away at me that we didn't get a chance to defend what was ours. Um, Tough. 98 championship was probably the toughest. Michael and Phil Jackson probably would feel different because they have 6 championships. I only have 3. But that 1998 championship was tough. We were tested by some really good teams. Indiana Pacers pushed us to the max. Utah Jazz was destined to win a championship, and Michael just wasn't allowing it. And after we won that championship, man, we were mentally drained. Um, but we also understood that the work we put in as well. And like I said, after that end of the year dinner, we didn't know it was going to be a strike season. So we were preparing for the next season to defend another championship, and it was all gone. It was all gone. So yeah, it doesn't sit well with me that we weren't given a chance to defend that championship. I don't think it's ever happened in sports that a team wins a championship and it's just gone the following season. It's kind of disappointing.
Professional sports people that I speak to fall into one of 2 categories. They're either memorabilia keepers or they're people that shun all that. Are you someone that has got lots of little keepsakes?
You know what? I was just the other day. Was talking to a good friend, and he was showing me all the tickets that he had. Cause back then, now we don't have tickets anymore, and he showed me that he had a ticket, a physical Bulls ticket back in the '90s, and something I don't have. And I had to go into my storage space. I was like, where are all my tickets? And I wasn't able to find it, but I found an old chair from the old United Center, from the Chicago Stadium. I'm sorry. So yes, we we had a rule. Phil Jackson had a rule that myself or even Michael or Scotty, we couldn't go to one of our other teammates and suggest an autograph. It just was a team rule.
Hmm.
And mainly that rule was put in for Michael and Scotty and Dennis. So they could come to work and be around, their second family and not be bothered with autographs. So I got boxes and boxes of jerseys and pictures, not even autographed. Um, Keepsakes that I'll have for the rest of my life. But not even autograph, but the keepsake and knowing that I was part of a dynasty is enough for me.
It's been a genuine privilege to
Yes,
speak to you.
yes,
The reason why I love speaking to you and about this so much is I've recently re-downloaded a game called NBA 96 from a really old PlayStation, from a Mega Drive console. So
yes.
playing with the Chicago Bulls around that time, I feel like I know them a lot more than I actually do. So when you mention these names, I feel like, yeah, they're teammates of mine. I played
That's
with Dennis Rodman.
you're.
Not the same though.
I'm telling you, you're no different from me. I Everything is on the internet. Every single day, I'm going back to see who did we lose to in 1997. Who did we lose to in 1998? I'm always revisiting this stuff because I want to relive the memories, and I'm I'm such an avid fan, and I'm blinded by the red jersey from the Bulls that I'm always trying to relive these moments. And when I do find stuff, I usually text one of my old teammates and say, "Hey, do you remember stuff like that?" And it brings back great memories because, like you said, we're living in tough times right now. We're living in a different world, and this is I'm excited because this is actually my third podcast in my life. So I was excited to talk to you, to talk Chicago, not only the Bulls, but Chicago in itself. But I appreciate it because the brand, that Bulls logo, man, is going to be forever.
Randy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We'll
Absolutely.
speak to you soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
How good was that? It's so good to speak to the legendary Randy Brown from the Chicago Bulls. Just a reminder, that's not everything we've got for you for Chicago. We've got another episode about this very special sorting city coming on YouTube and your favourite podcasting platform. We're going to be joined by a couple of great guests who know everything about this city like the back of their hand. We're going to be chatting about the Bears, the Cubs, White Sox, and everything in between. Whatever you do, make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. You can hear about other sporting cities like Las Vegas, Paris, Milan, Sydney. Loads of different ones are all available now. And if you're traveling soon, make sure you check out Sport 24's live sports schedule at sport24live.com to make sure you don't miss any of the biggest sporting events live in the air or at sea. Sport 24 really does have it all. Until next time, safe travels.